Hey guys, we are back with another video, and this is another review, seeing as I'm becoming the review guy almost of how many reviews I've done this last year or so. But nevertheless, it seems you guys love them and you want to see me do more of them. Well, you're in luck, because today I am listening to you guys' requests, and one of the big requests I had in the last videos was to review a program from FitnessFAQs. So if that's what you wished for, today is your lucky day. We are going to take a look at Pull-Up Pro Phase 1. All the details, pros, cons, likes, dislikes, the good, the bad, and just about everything in between. So it's going to be nice to catch up with you guys and let you know what I've been up to in between now and the last video. So get yourself comfy, strap yourselves in, and let's take a deep dive. So before we get into the nitty-gritty, I just want to touch on two key points that are almost questions that you might have as well. So the first one is, why have I bought this program, or why do I have this program? Well, the first reason might surprise you. It's not actually all about getting the one-arm pull-up. Believe it or not, I bought this program because I was just really intrigued to see how Daniel Vadnor, aka FitnessFAQs, programs. And as a coach myself, this is a little bit like market research. I am notorious for just whoring out and buying lots of different programs that can be used one day down the line. But ultimately, it's always good to just see what people do. You learn an awful lot from watching what others do. And like the old saying goes, success leaves clues. And of course, it's all about achieving a one-arm pull-up or one-arm chin-up. So I actually did achieve a one-arm pull-up back in the day, back in the early part of 2019, when I was out on the trip of a lifetime on the beaches of LA, when we were always out training on Santa Monica Beach, right by the pier, where they've got that amazing high ring set up, all the swing bars and loads of just nice pull-up bars, and the vibe there is just amazing. We were only there in February and it was still just awesome to be there, so I can only imagine what that must have been like in summer. Obviously, I suppose pre-COVID we have to say, but nevertheless, it's just an amazing place no matter what time you go. So that was when I actually did my first one-arm pull-up on both arms, but I only did it once, and annoyingly, as always the way, you try it, you think, well, I'll try it, if I get it, I'll film the next attempt, because the next attempt will be better. So at the time, that was all I could manage, just one on each arm, nice and clean, where the chin would go nicely above the bar. The second attempt, and even the third attempt, I couldn't quite get that kind of clean over grip where I pull the bar right below my chin, and I'm not all about posting bad form videos. If it's not good form, it's not going to count, and it was just left to the wayside. But that was so annoying, because it was one of those default ones that I had there, and yeah, I could never display it, and I can't ever show it, but I have had it. And building on from that, if we're really going into the form department of things, the form would definitely not have been clean. And as a definition, we want to define a clean one-arm pull-up for the sake of the videos and future videos pertaining to Pull-Up Pro. And that is involving a passive hang at the bottom where the scapula engages, aka depresses, slightly retracts, and then we pull right the way up the bar in that twist-like motion that is so commonly seen. And as you can see, Daniel Vadnor demonstrates this perfectly. The guy has got like 5 of these reps clean from a passive hang without touching the ground with his feet, all done at a body weight of 85 kilos. So it's impressive stuff. You can really see why a guy like that has developed a program on the one-arm pull-up. And that begs the question as to whether I even had the one-arm pull-up at all. I mean, if we look at my old criteria, I'm notorious for saying that you must be able to repeat a skill even when you're not fully fresh and when all the stars are in perfect alignment. So by that notion, I guess we could say I've never really had the one-arm pull-up, one-arm chin-up clean at all yet. So it's still going to be a work in progress. When I did my one-arm pull-up, it was from an active hang at the very least, and if not a slightly bent arm, I couldn't say for sure. I do know that my chin cleared the bar comfortably though on both arms, but I'm definitely sure it wasn't from a completely passive hang, so we're going to have to give that a nice red X and say that it didn't actually count. So now you have the backstory, let's get into the details. So obviously the program is a specific program. It is literally just a pulling only program, and there are 2 workouts each week. So it's 2 weekly sessions over a span of an 8-week phase. The end of the 8-week phase is finished with a 1-week deload in which the volume is cut in half. Now this is perfect for anybody that has their fingers in other pies, so that you're only looking for a pull-up skill and then you can almost run 2 programs complementary towards one another. I'm actually doing that as well. So what I've been doing recently is I've been using the FitnessFAQs handstand push-up program template, which I may do a little review on in itself down the line if you guys are interested. So do let me know down below in the comments if this is something that may interest you, because I can do a handstand push-up program from the Handstand Factory review down the line. So as I just said, one of the phases is 8 weeks. There are actually 2 more phases. So there are 24 working weeks in this program, which is the best part of half a year. So that's what you're getting for your money. Phase by phase, it ramps up in complexity and volume, because I've already had a cheeky look at the phases to come. That's the studying nerd in me that loves to see the programs. But in all honesty, phase 1 is quite nice. It's straightforward. It's essentially a foundational base building program, and it covers all the pulling patterns you could ever need. There are weighted pulling on 2 arms in the pull-up or vertical. You can choose chin-ups if you wish. There are 1-arm pull-up specific drills as well. There are row variations, active hang variations, stuff for the rotator cuff, and quite a bit of bicep conditioning, which is essentially all the ingredients to make up the broth that is the 1-arm pull-up, or at least a conditioning base for a 1-arm pull-up. Let's get into the good, bad, and the ugly. We're going to start with the likes, all the good points of the program. Now, the first thing I really like about it is the stuff that you get access to, aka the portal. So the portal has a ton of tutorial videos that really break down not only the movement, but the pros and cons of the optional movements that he gives you. So there's such a wide range of options for people who want to use rings, or people who want to use weights, or people who don't have access to certain equipment or might have access to others, or they have access to everything and they're not sure which one to go for. Daniel really does break down the pros and cons of all of them. It also comes with a nice detailed ebook as well for those of you that just like old school reading, just scrolling through, taking your time, where he really deconstructs the mechanics behind the 1-arm pull-up and the 1-arm chin-up, and he even dissects the differences between the two, so the pros and cons of training for each one. He even covers the grip between the supinated hand, the neutral hand, and the pronated hand, the pros, cons, and which ones you should train for. All of that is taken care of in the portal that you get access to when you buy the program. And another thing I like about this, which usually doesn't fly well with YouTube because it's not particularly sexy, is the simple progression model. So in phase 1, you're really not doing anything ultra exciting. I suppose the only thing that you could do that's remotely exciting is if you was a mega beast and could throw a crap load of weight onto your weight belt for the weighted pull-up section. Perhaps that would be where you get your kind of sexiness from, but other than that, it's quite slow and steady, and it is just building you a nice base across all the pulling movements. And that is a thing I like also, is that it covers every single movement pattern in real detail. I've ran programs before where they're focused around a certain skill, but they're still slightly out of balance, where you're doing too much of the said skill and not as much of the holistically all across the board movements. Whereas Pull-Up Pro has all bases covered: rotator cuff work, push-pull ratio, so you're getting a lot of horizontal pulling in, which we all know so many calisthenics programs do not have enough horizontal pulling to offset all of the dipping and all of the muscle ups and all the internal rotation movements that we tend to do as calisthenics enthusiasts or athletes. And when it comes to dislikes and the things I'm not so keen on with this program, the first thing is there could be a little bit more guidance in the programming in regards to RPE and when to progress or regress. Obviously, you've given all these progressions and all these options in the portal that you can choose from, but there isn't actually anywhere in the programming that I've seen that tells you if this, do that, for example. So which could lead someone with perhaps a little less knowledge on programming and exercise selection to the right choices. Keeping in mind, obviously, I do this stuff for a living. I'm a coach, I'm a personal trainer by trade. Programming is something I pride myself on, and I also pride myself on selecting the right movements for the right person, so I can eyeball the difficulty level that someone needs and give them the appropriate exercise. This has stood me in good stead when it comes to doing these programs. But if you wasn't that way inclined, you may find it hard to know exactly which one to do. It becomes a little bit subjective in some ways. Another possible drawback here is, depending on how strong you are, you may find 7 weeks without a deload if you're really going for it and doing other things as well as this program. Keeping in mind this is just pulling, so it is designed to be used in theory alongside other things, whether that would be Daniel's Planche Pro program or the Handstand Factories handstand push-up program that I'm doing, or anything else you want to do to balance out the pulling. If you was doing all of that combined and really hammering it, pushing the envelope week after week, bearing in mind the program ramps the intensity up and the volume up gradually as well, as all good programs do, this could catch up with you if you are decently strong. It's hard to say what decently strong is, but imagine someone using, say, half his body weight or more on the weighted pull-ups / chin-ups. That could trip you up possibly down the line. Obviously, this is another one where the know-how would come in. If you know that, you may deload. Say, for example, you would deload on week 4 and then pick back up again. You'd break the 8 weeks into 2 mini phases as opposed to one individual phase itself. But I ran this 7 weeks straight. I just made sure that I didn't go too crazy. So at the time of recording this, I'm actually just on the deload week now. And for example, I've been going a little bit mad, having a play session once a week where I just go off program, socialize with the friends, and just touch on the things I don't normally do in the strict programs. And I've gone a little bit crazy with that over the weekend, having some fun. And as a result, my last session that was supposed to be full volume felt crap. So I ditched it and I cut the volume down, and I've started the deload week now. So it's not too bad. I've actually been making good progress, even though it is 7 weeks long. But I will say at week 5 or 6, I was kind of like crossing my fingers and checking the program over and over, going, how many have I done? How many have I done? Kind of working out where I was, consulting my training journal to see, surely there's only one more workout before deload. So that made me think at this point that could be something that catches you out depending on your recovery capacity and how long you like to run your cycles, basically. I know I've emphasized a little bit about why there's no sexy footage. Obviously, you're probably tuning into this review thinking, right, let's see, did he get the one arm chin up? Did he do it yet? As Daniel will tell you, and anyone with half the brain will tell you, big progress like this doesn't take a matter of weeks. This is looking at longer term. I'm going to ramp up slowly and really condition my elbows and tendons. Not that they're not conditioned, but taking it slow and just incremental 1% better each day mentality will save you down the long run. The one arm chin up, one arm pull up training has really claimed so many people's elbows and shoulders, and I know loads of guys that can't even go near training that now because their elbows just cannot handle the intensity, because they was a dumbass and they were training it 3 or 4 times a week, training negatives all the time. No matter how they felt, they just pushed it pedal to the metal. So that is why you're not seeing such an aggressive modality here. But what I will say, I'm going to just briefly outline my approach to this. So in phase 1, I will be doing same strap assist, so it's just assisted concentric work for the one arm chin up. This is for moderate volume, where I'm just conditioning, pulling towards the top, just getting used to there, because that's where my weakness is that top hold. I'm actually okay even now. I can pull to the forehead from a completely dead hang, but I really burn out and lose some strength at the top. It doesn't help having limited elbow flexion as well, which means that the pull-in at the top needs to be a little bit higher because I have to drive my elbow back. Then the plan is in the next phase to be looking at the counterweight version. So that is a very objective method where you add weight to a ring strap. The idea is you don't move the ring strap, and it's a continuous assistance. Then you know how much pressure you're putting in the non-working arm, and you can quantify it, with the idea being that you lower the weight over time. So fingers crossed that will work well. That was what I will spend the next phase doing, and hopefully we can start a kind of generous number and work down to a more stingy number, all being well. And then in the last phase, it will be a lot more eccentric based. Again, I can do decent eccentrics. I've done decent eccentrics before, but it's the volume and the frequency. And everyone who I've spoke to that's either had one arm chin ups and lost them, or trained them, or can still do them, will tell you that eccentrics vary wildly. They're not something you can kind of do week to week to week, going all out, because you'll see such a yo-yo. You're going to see one time you'll lower over 12 to 15 seconds and you'll think, well, I've got the one arm chin up now. And then you'll come back in the next session, even if you do take a fair few days off and you feel fresh, and you drop down over a 3-second count. You're just falling into the bottom and you just don't know what's happened. And I think a lot of that is to do with how intense the eccentrics actually are. And they're just so variable. So they're not something that you want to speed through or do a lot of. So hopefully by the time I've spent all this time conditioning, as conservative as it may seem, by the time I actually hit the one arm chin up eccentrics, I can really start to go at them and know that my body will stand up to it. And again, it's pointless training eccentrics if you've got a weak top hold. I still need to just keep doing more and more lightly assisted, pulling that ring right below the chin and locking it in before I start really committing to super slow and all out eccentrics. I also just want to give you an outline of some of the improvements I've made over the last 7 weeks. The first thing we'll start with is the one-arm chin-up progression itself. Obviously, I started off doing mantle chin-ups, which is the ring slightly offset, but I ditched this in favour of the same strap assist. I won't go into too much detail about the differences between the two, because I do plan on making a video all about these progressions in due course. But safe to say, this has improved a lot. When I first started training same strap assist chin-ups, I had such a hard time getting my lips high enough, and I like using Daniel's cue of kissing the top of the ring as a consistent objective marker for enough height. This would be a no-go unless I was really flying, whereas nowadays, even for sets of 5, I can come in with a consistent gap. So what I've been using is a fist's distance plus an inch or two, setting a little chalk mark to know where I'm gripping. And even on a bad day, I can find 5 reps more or less kissing the top of the ring. Sometimes the reps are a struggle, but usually they're pretty much achievable. In terms of weighted pull-up gain, I started quite moderate. Obviously, I've got quite a good background in weighted pull-ups, but I started modestly at around 32 kilo for 5x5. I'm now up to 37.5, which I've achieved. I have done 40 kilo for 2 to 3 sets of 5 and then had to drop down to 36 for the last couple of sets in one of the sessions just because I wasn't particularly strong that day. Although I am very confident that on a fresh day right now I could get 40 kilos for 5 sets of 5, which is a good number, because even back in my old glory days of 2019 when I was potentially a faster puller and I used to do nothing but muscle ups all the time, I only ever managed 1 set of 5 reps of 40 kilos. So we are stronger than we used to be right now. So that is a win-win. Rows have got better. In fairness, I've been training rows a lot all the year to try and sort out my shoulder issues and bring more balance into the shoulders. But I did notice that my underhand ring row was so much weaker than my other grips, which is kind of weird. So in this program, I've been using that progression, and now they are sort of level. I found the free grips don't vary as much as they used to. So that is a nice benefit. Active hanging, so obviously pulling the shoulders down and back, lifting the chest and engaging the scapula before you take pull-ups is in the program as a bit of conditioning for that bottom bit and just general scapular strength. I started with body weight and higher duration holds. Now I'm doing up to 22.5 kilo attached to me. Granted, I'm not lifting my chest quite as high, but I still have a very solid engagement. And this is actually quite comfortable for sets of 30 seconds. So that has got up a lot. Last but not least is the Cuban rotation, so the external rotation component. Now, historically, I was always super weak at this movement. When I first saw it, I saw guys demonstrating it with the Olympic bar. I tried it and I couldn't even move the bar. My shoulders hurt and I just dropped it straight on the floor. Needless to say, months and years have gone by since then, and I've slowly been building up using the movement here and there when I need to. But this program has forced me to get a nice bit of momentum. So week to week, I'm training it. And as you can see, I can now rep the Olympic bar like it's nothing, almost like a YouTube demonstration video. So that is another win-win. And with that said, that is us done and dusted. Time for me to enjoy the rest of this deload and get working on some more videos for you. Interestingly enough, guys, I am making a video as we speak all about mistakes that intermediate athletes make when it comes to pull-ups and other movements, but primarily pull-ups. So do stay tuned for that. If you like this video so far, please do give me a thumbs up just to support the channel. And if you like the nature of this content and you're calisthenics interested or even movement interested, this channel is the one for you. So please subscribe if you feel so inclined to do so. Check the links out in the description as well, where you can go to my website where I write articles each week on everything fitness, lifestyle, improvement, etc, etc. I really think you'll benefit and enjoy some of my work. And with that said, guys, that is it from me. Have a great week, stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.